conference over to Mr. Russ Anderson. Please go ahead.
Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us for today's Coach's Call. The 2017 Dynacraft Conference USA Football Championship game will take place this Saturday at noon Eastern and will be televised by ESPN2. East Division champion Florida Atlantic, 8-0 in the conference, 9-3 overall, will be taking on West Division champion North Texas, 9-3 overall, 7-1 in Conference USA. Both schools will be making their first appearance in the CUSA Championship game. The last time that happened was 2013 when Rice defeated Marshall in the title game. This will be the fifth time that the teams playing in the CUSA Championship met during the regular season. Back on October 21st, Florida Atlantic defeated North Texas 69-31, and the team that has won the regular season contest 2-2 in the rematch in the championship game. This also marks the third time that both teams come into the championship game with winning streaks of 5 or more games. That happened in 2015 with Southern Miss and WKU, and back in 2007, Tulsa and UCF. Florida Atlantic comes in with an 8-game winning streak, North Texas riding a 5-game winning streak. And since CUSA began holding a conference championship back in 2005, the host school has a 9-3 record all time, including a current 5-game winning streak. A reminder to media on the call, if you are planning on covering the championship, have not applied for credentials, you can do that by the end of today. That is on the Conference USA website and under the Multimedia tab. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Russ Anderson, here in the conference office. And leading off our call today is Lane Kiffin, the Florida Atlantic Owls. Do we have Coach Kiffin on the line?
You do, yes.
Coach, thank you for joining us. And 9-3 record, the 6-game improvement from where Florida Atlantic was last year, and you're the fourth team to go 8-0 in league history. Some tremendous accomplishments. Talk about how much it would mean to cap that off with a conference championship on your home field this Saturday.
Well, it'd be huge. You know, we obviously started slow in non-conference. Thankfully that, you know, we had that and have played well since. You know, to go 8-0 is, as you mentioned, whatever 4 teams have ever done that. So obviously it's a pretty hard thing to do. You know, so it's great doing a division, but, you know, a lot of people win divisions. You know, very few people win championships. So this is a huge game. And North Texas, since playing us, hasn't lost. I've said it like when we played them the time before, they had Iowa beat, you know, second half. So this is a top 25 team, in my opinion.
We'll go ahead and take questions from the media for Coach Kiffin. Please press *1 to ask a question.
We'll go first to Daniel Usman, the All-American.
Lane, you guys had an outstanding offensive performance and all-around performance against North Texas earlier this year. I wonder how much or if you will talk to your team about trying not to let that guide them or make them complacent at all, I guess, in this rematch.
Yeah, you know, we haven't really talked much about that game. You know, that was a long time ago. And, you know, like I said, after that game, you know, was 2 really good teams. And, you know, we had a lot of luck that day. Every ball went our way, every call, you know, just one of those fluke games that happens every 10 years. You know, so this is 2 teams that I think are both playing well and very similar teams. You know, this is a, you know, pick 'em type of game to me as you look at them on film.
Do you remember a time when you were involved in a rematch in college football and sort of how you might have managed that in the past?
Oh, I think I was asked that the other day. I do not think that I ever have. I think that, you know, our last 3 at the SEC there, Florida, and Missouri, we had not played. And then Pac-12, it used to be 10, so we didn't have a conference championship there for a lot of years. And 1 year when we won it, you know, we were on probation, so we weren't allowed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go next to Brett Vito with the Denton Record Chronicle.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, just a quick question for you. You guys had a great game against North Texas offensively, but it wasn't just that one game. You guys have been so consistently effective throughout the year. What do you think has helped you guys become such a consistently productive offensive team throughout your first season there?
I think that, we have a lot of really good players, that returned from last year. I think that, we've kind of mixed two systems with a super fast Baylor, a warp speed system with, some motions and some issue plays, that were kind of more Alabama, I guess you'd call Alabama plays from, or Alabama USC plays from my background. So we've been fortunate for it to come together, and we started slow, which I think is normal when you try to change that much stuff, and I've been able to play well as of late.
And you guys played so well against North Texas the last time around. Do you figure you're going to get North Texas's best shot after you really kind of embarrassed them, especially defensively in that first game?
Yeah, yes, I think that, these guys are going to come. They'd play hard anyway. It's a conference championship. They're just like us. Hadn't had a lot of success a couple of years ago. Then they kind of got them halfway last year, and now they're playing great. So last game's going to mean nothing. So they'll be extremely motivated, and I'm sure they'll play really well.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
We'll go next to Katrina McCormick, Florida Atlantic.
Hey, Lane, it's actually Shandell from the Sun Sentinel.
I was going to say that'd be kind of weird if my own SID was asking a question. That'd be kind of strange.
I just have a question about Willie Wright. A couple guys went there earlier talking about his leadership. What have you seen from him from a maturity standpoint?
I think Willie's unusual. You get these kids once in a while that come in as true freshmen that are just, mature beyond their years and, don't get flustered by the big game, by the game being too big. His first game, he got hurt early, only played 25 snaps, but had a 90-yard touchdown or something versus Navy. So he's just always kind of never been too big for him. And so he was banged up early when we weren't playing really well. And then, after that Buffalo game when we got him back and Aziz back and Buddy Howell back from some injuries, we've started to play a lot better.
Thanks, Lane.
You got it.
Next, Tim Reynolds, Associated Press.
Hey, Lane. It's obviously the time of year where the rumor mill goes into overdrive. I'm curious what, if anything, you've said to your kids about handling distractions or storylines that might be out there that might not necessarily be, the most important things to you this week.
Well, I think we're probably a unique team, as you guys probably know, I kind of don't do things the same way as other people. So our team's extremely close. We joke about things, so I don't need to tell them, hey, don't worry, I'm not going here, or what you read, whatever, We're a very mature, focused team, but, we're a family that has a lot of fun. I joke with them all the time, I was late to meeting the other day. I told them, sorry, I was on the phone with Tennessee, so that's just kind of how we are.
And finally, I know you've been asked this various ways throughout the course of the year, but now that you're actually in this game, you guys got a couple top 25 votes this week. People are talking about 10 wins and all. Is this cannot be what you thought would have been realistic 3 months ago?
I did, I said, in order to do the impossible, you got to see the invisible, and this is really, against all odds. And, so as much as I'd like to say I saw all of it, I don't know that I saw the scores the way that they were, a lot of these games haven't been close, versus really good teams.
Right.
So I can see the record, but I don't know that even I could have predicted, the margin of victory in most of these games. We're playing a lot of these games. We're playing our backups in the second half.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
We'll go next to TJ Reeds, Tune In.
Elaine, you kind of answered what I wanted to ask about North Texas a couple of different ways. I'll ask another one along those same lines. In watching them since the last game, have they altered defensively a lot of what they didn't do well against you? I know you're not going to give away strategy, but do you see changes that they have made since you played them the first time?
I do not. I think what they did, what a lot of coaches do is, they probably just said, hey, it was a fluke. Everything went right, every tip ball, everything. You don't have 804 yards like in video games usually, let alone in real games. So I think that they probably just said, hey, it was one of those games. Let's just go regroup. Let's just get better at what we're doing. And they have. They've played really good. And outside of that game, I think they've played really good all year long as you look at them.
And one more along those lines, what has stood out in their 5-game win streak when you watched them since you played them? Thank you.
Same as always, great quarterback play, able to run the ball efficiently, and they give up yards, so their stats don't look great on defense, but they cause you a lot of problems. They do a lot of stuff, it's kind of, we call them like a havoc defense. They create a lot of issues.
And we'll go back to the line of Katrina McCormick, Florida Atlantic.
Lane, it's Jake Elman from the Palm Beach Post. A couple of the guys earlier were talking about how they still want to earn respect. How gratifying is that for you to hear?
It's very gratifying. I don't know that I've seen a mature situation or a team, especially a team that's had no success at all. Last year, someone gave you a stat for over 3 years to have only beat one team with a winning record, and then did, 7 of them this year or something like that. But, after the game, they beat me in the locker room because I'm the last one because I got to do a radio interview. And no one was singing the fight song. Aziz was ripping them. It was a dead locker room. You would have thought we lost the game. They were really upset. It was unique because we still won by double digits. Still, it was 31-7. We started putting some backups in and stuff, and just played sloppy and turned the ball over a couple of times. So that part was really, that was really neat to see. For them to be like, because I was getting ready to do the same speech and they were already doing it. So it's pretty neat.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
And we have no further questions in the queue at this time.
Coach Kiffin, thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in Boca.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
And we move now to Seth Luttrell of North Texas. Coach Luttrell, you on the line?
Yes.
Thank you for being with us. And, really an outstanding job you and your staff have done in taking a team that was 1-11 when you took the job to winning the West Division championship here in just 2 years. Now you have a chance to play for the conference championship. What would that mean for your program and its development?
First off, I want to congratulate Coach Kiffin and FAU. They've done a heck of a job this year, and it's been incredible to watch. But it meant a lot for our program. Anytime you can come in a place and, try to set standards and try to set a culture and your guys, it takes a lot of work through those guys just believing in you and your staff. And staff's done a great job. The players have been even better. And, it's just every single week just trying to get a day better. But, anytime you can compete for championships, it's an awesome deal. And, again, these things don't happen, too often a lot of times. So you got to make the most of your opportunities.
We'll take questions from the media for Coach Luttrell. Please press *1 to ask a question.
And we'll go first to Brett Vito, the Denton Record Chronicle.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
How you doing?
Not too bad. Just a couple quick questions for you here. How much has your team grown since you played Florida Atlantic the first time?
Well, I thought it was a huge wake-up call for us. They did an unbelievable job that night. They dominated us on all 3 phases, and it just goes to show you that you better be prepared and you better be ready to be in a dogfight every single week. In this conference, there's a lot of great teams, and I didn't feel like we played as hard, and a lot of that had to do with them, the way they, tempoed us, especially on defense, and the things they did. They dominated up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and we didn't play very physical. And again, some of that was them, but it just goes to show you better be ready and you better get everything you got every snap, or else you're going to get embarrassed.
struggled against them defensively. What can you guys do to maybe, improve upon that? And was that kind of a wake-up call for your guys' defense?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you, Brett.
No, was that a wake-up call for your guys' defense, and how do you guys go about it doing a little better this time around?
Yeah, anytime you get beat like that, it's embarrassing. And, I know those guys didn't like what they put on tape that day. And, again, it's all about a mentality. We're not going to change what we do. We have a system that we believe in. Coach Reffett does a great job. But I think it's more about, understanding what your gap, what your assignment is, being totally focused, throughout a game. It only takes one guy out of the gap for them to crease you. They do a great job, obviously, in their run game, their running backs, their offensive line. They're really incredible. So, it's more about, getting lined up and understanding what your job is, holding each other accountable, and having that mentality.
One guy that's played really well for you guys this year is EJ. I think he leads you in sacks, tackles, and tackles for loss. Can you just talk about what he's contributed to your team this year?
Yeah, he's done a great job of stepping up, and he's been multiple. He's had to play a couple different positions in our system, so he knows the system very well. But again, he's a really good football player. He continues to work hard, and he brings that mentality on defense, for what we need, and brings energy. So he's done a great job for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Tim Reynolds, Associated Press.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Tim, how you doing?
Good, thank you. I was looking at the conference's preseason rankings, and, we all like to laugh at how that stuff always doesn't come to fruition, but nobody picked you guys to be in this game. Nobody picked FAU to be in this game. I'm curious if your team carried a let's prove everybody wrong kind of mantra at times this year. Was that something you guys ever talked about?
To be honest with you, I don't look at the rankings, and I don't know if they do or not. But it's, to me, it has no significance on what you're going to do throughout the season. I think it's more importantly that you try to build that great chemistry in your team, and you every single week you're striving to get a week better, and that's really what we focused on, 1 week at a time. I felt like they've done a great job. Learning through success this year and failures. You're going to learn from both of those, winning and losing. And they've done a great job of transitioning that from Sunday meetings to, Tuesday's practice, getting to the next opponent, and making sure that you respect every opponent every week. And they've been pretty mature about that.
And my follow-up is, there's obviously a Lane factor. Obviously, he gets a lot of national attention because of what he does and where he's been. But it just seems like there's more eyeballs on the conference now than there has been in recent years, and a lot of that probably has to do with play as well. How good a footing do you think the conference is on right now, just in terms of getting more national viability?
Well, Coach Kiffin deserves everything he gets. He's one heck of a football coach, but this conference has a lot of great coaches. You can look from top to bottom. A lot of great coaches, a lot of great staffs. There's some really good football players here, I think. Once you start to see us play and compete, and I think everybody's starting to realize that we feel like we can compete with anybody. So it's a great conference to be in, and very competitive.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck. See you Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go next to TJ Reed. Tune in.
Coach, good morning there.
Good morning.
You kind of asked this a moment ago. I'll follow up with where's the balance on, do you show your team what it did wrong in a negative game, like the first game, as opposed to you just chalk it up that you've been a better team since and look at other FAU games?
No, you got to. Again, that's part of the maturation process and growing and learning. It's not ever fun to look back, on a loss, especially a loss like that. But as a team, you got to continue to, learn from that experience and watch, and how they tried to attack you the first time, and some different things they've done, throughout the season, and learning from those games. So it all goes together. Again, we got to focus in on getting a week better, and again, we've done that throughout the season, especially since that game, and so we're going to continue with the process that we have in place.
What does Singletary do, and maybe it's a couple of things, that is the biggest concern and the biggest challenge in stopping him?
He can make you miss in a heartbeat, and he's fast. Once he breaks it, he's gone.
Simple as that. Thank you.
We'll go next to Daniel Usman, the All-American.
Seth, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you feel as a coach or even from back in your playing days that's crucial to have success in a rematch football game? We see them in college basketball all the time, but you don't see them that much in football. So I'm just wondering if there's anything you think is crucial to be successful when you have a rematch, whether you were on the good end or the bad end the first time.
Well, I feel like we've had this past year. It was the same thing with Army. We played them early in the year. It was a little different to where, we played them early, we got the win, and then we came back and played them again in the bowl game. Didn't have the same success we had. I think, the biggest thing is understanding that every game's a new game. Whether it's your failures or your success in the past game, it's just making sure you focus on that game. It's the same process. Obviously you know your opponent a little better. You've already game planned against them once, but you got to do a great job of the same thing we do every single week, and that's making sure that we're extremely focused on our opponent.
You guys made a bowl last year. This year, I think, in terms of win-loss, you're more successful than last. But I'm wondering, what do you think was the area that the team made the biggest leap in from last year to this?
I would say consistency, which we're still building and growing on. I think that's been we're a very inconsistent football team this past year, up and down. And I think, which is huge. And I think the second thing is just being, a year better in your systems, understanding who you got as coaches and players, your relationships. And so, I think that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And we'll go next to the line of Katrina McCormick, Florida Atlantic.
Coach, hi, this is Chuck King from FAU All Access. I'm wondering, do you find it easier to motivate a team in sort of a revenge game, coming off of a game that was a close game that you could have won but lost, or a blowout game where you've got, a lot more to work on?
Well, I think there's no doubt motivation, but at the end of the day, competing for a championship is the biggest motivation. I mean, that's something, again, we've talked about since we've been here is setting a culture of consistently competing for championships. And now that, you have that opportunity, it's motivation enough to go in there and give it your best.
Coach, this is Jake Allen with Palm Beach Post. I just wanted to ask if you see any similarities between what you've done at North Texas and what Coach Kiffin has done at FAU.
Well, he's obviously done it a year quicker. I think he's done an unbelievable job. But it's a challenge. Again, it's a challenge getting somewhere, building relationships, setting your culture, having your guys buy into it. It's a great challenge. And again, he's done an unbelievable job, and that's a testament to their players as well, and their staff, just how quickly their chemistry came together. And I think, that's where we're at. Our chemistry is so much better in the last 2 years, and I think some of that, again, is your relationships and just, comfortable and the trust you have within your staff and your players has gotten a year better. But I think, again, he's done an unbelievable job.
Thanks, Coach.
And we'll take one more question if there is one for Coach Luttrell.
And we actually have no further questions in the queue.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Coach, thank you for being with us. We'll look forward to seeing you in Boca Raton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who has participated on today's call. If you have any questions regarding the championship, please feel free to contact me here at the conference office. Thanks, and have a great afternoon.
That does conclude today's conference. Thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.